Welcome everyone to this new video. Today I'm gonna talk about the new chess tournament called Battle Chess Team by chess.com, where players like Fabiano Caruana, Hikaru Nakamura, and Anish Giri are playing. This is a completely new format. In fact, teams of two players are playing and they are allowed to talk during the game and they are exchanging ideas, and this is a format which I particularly like. I'm gonna be honest, I absolutely love it. And in the last 2 days, the first two games have been played. The games are rapid games, 10-minute plus 10-second increment, and we are especially focusing on Anish Giri, which lately has been a beast. But before we get into the video, please like and subscribe. The button is just down below. I also left the link to my Twitch channel. And having said that, let's get into the video. So this new tournament, I really love. I gotta say, it's been great. And the idea is that there is a single elimination bracket with 8 teams, and these players are playing. Yesterday, the team of Anish Giri and Danny Rench played against Fabiano Caruana and Christian Kirilla, and the idea is that they play two rapids game of 10 minutes plus 10 seconds increment. And if they draw, which means if they are tied after 2 games, they go to an Armageddon. And today I want to show the first 2 games they played. I'm not gonna spoil the results, so stick to the end if you wanna know how this ended. But before we get started, I wanna say something, alright? I am not really in the position to roast anybody because any one of these players are absolutely great players. I respect all of them, but I gotta say something. In this example, there is a team like Fabiano Caruana and Christian Kirilla, which is a team that I really like. We have seen that it's not actually Fabiano Caruana who just plays the move and then Kirilla is just playing them physically, but actually Kirilla is helping Caruana playing, and this is actually great. But in the case of Nakamura, for example, who is playing with Levi, I mean, I don't want to roast Gotham Chess because he's a great guy. I like him very much. A great inspiration for me. I enjoy a lot of his content, but it's kind of useless. Like, I mean, I don't want to roast, but yeah, it's. I believe it's mainly fun content because it's gonna be a lot of fun. That is, yes, but I mean, Nakamura, I don't think needs help from anybody. So I am waiting to see that. So having said that, the first game starts with move e4. The team Caruana Kirilla is playing with white pieces. No, this is not. Yeah, this is the first game. The team Caruana Kirilla is playing with white pieces, and Giri Ranch is playing with black pieces. All right, we got the move d4, knight f6, and after the first moves, we got the Nimzo Indian. The Nimzo Indian is uh, is a really complicated moving. There is a lot of theory for white and for black, and the idea is that black doesn't want to allow white to go e4 by pinning the knight to the king with the move bishop b4. Now, white has a couple options. White can play queen c2 so that if black ever takes this knight, he can take with the queen, he doesn't damage the structure. He can play a3, and then black's gonna take, and we're gonna have a typical Nimzo Indian structure with this double c pawn, but white gonna have the bishop pair. And in this position, white kind of played solidly with the move e3. The bishop is gonna go on d3, knight f3, and short castle is the plan. Now, we got the move c5. Now, both c5 and d5 are good moves here for black because you want to strike in the center, and you can not play d5 because white cannot really go d5 himself because the knight is pinned. And the idea is that you want to put pressure in the center like this. At some point, you're going to play the move d5 anyway. we see the move bishop d3, putting the bishop on a nice diagonal, knight c6, and we got knight e2 now. A typical idea in the Nimzo Indian for black is to take this knight to damage the structure, but now this is not possible anymore because the knight is gonna take back and you just lose the bishop for a knight, which is not good. Now, we got move d5. There is some tension in the center, and generally what you wanna do is to take the d pawn with c pawn. This is the general rule, and we see just that. White takes in the center and castles. Now position is about equal, and after castle a3, here we got the first interesting move, c4. Now the move c4 is really interesting because black could have played the move c takes d5, and the idea is that if white takes the bishop, now you can take the knight, but white here has the stunning move b5, which forces the knight to move to e5, and then after knight takes, white has a lot of pressure. I'm sorry, a lot of pressure in this position. Black could have also played simply bishop takes c3, and after b takes c3, we would have gotten a typical Nimzo-Indian struggle in the middle game. But black decides, on the other hand, to go for this interesting move, c4, and white has the option to go bishop takes h7, king takes h7 because you don't really want to take with the knight. King takes h7, and after a takes b4, white is a pawn up but has a damaged pawn structure and is gonna lose a pawn. So white decides not to go for that, and instead slides back with a bishop. Now there are several options here for black after white. I mean for white after black plays bishop a5. White here decides to go with move f3. Now f3 is a really simple move. The idea is to go e4, but here white that cannot really go e4 right away. And after the move h6, it's not really clear why h6 is better than rook e8, but black decides to go h6 first and then go rook e8. You might notice that white plays king h1. King h1 is a prophylactic move. You wanna bring the king out of danger in case of maybe bishop b6 or queen b6, and you wanna bring your king to safety. Now black goes rook e8, which is a natural move, putting pressure in the position. And here white lashes out with move g4. Now black is doing great right until now. But here the move a6 is a bit too slow because it allows white to go rook to g1. In this position, white plays queen e1 to try to go maybe queen h4, but this is too slow. The engine says that after rook g1, the position is actually better for white because the move g5 looks great, and to stop that, black is gonna go g5 himself. But now look at all these weaknesses on the light squares that can just be attacked with the move like knight to g3. Instead, white decides to go queen e1, and after queen h4, positions are about equal, and black is trying to attack on the queen side, and white is trying to attack on the king side. We got the move knight h7. Knight h7 is too slow once again because you should really focus on attacking, maybe bring the bishop back, play a5 b4, and after white plays queen g3, bishop c7, got queen g2. Now here black asks to queen trade, and here is a really important one because Caruana wanted to queen trade, and Kirilla said, what are you gonna do after takes e4? And Caruana said that this was better for white, but Kirilla was like, no, let's keep queen on the board, and let's play queen g3, queen g2, and they decides to go for this idea. Now, after the move b4, we got bishop a4, putting pressure on the position. Now black could have sacked the exchange by taking the knight. In fact, after white takes the knight, you hang a fork, but you actually can take this. And after bishop takes b2, you cannot really take the rook because otherwise I take with promotion. After bishop takes b2, we got rook b8 attacking the bishop. And after the bishop moves, let's say to c1, the rook can move. So instead of moving the bishop to c1, white can decides to take the rook, and this is what probably Giri and Wrench didn't like about the position, because they decided not to go for this. But here, after white plays rook takes b2, black, he's an exchange down, he's down in exchange, but as this very strong c pawn and the white structure looks weak, the pieces are not coordinated well, and this is clearly better for black. But they decided not to go for this, and and uh, and when rook e6 is not a great move, because after takes, white can take and play knight f4, planting a knight in the center, putting pressure in the position. And after rook d6, we got rook a4. Rook a4 is a really clutch move. The idea is that you wanna protect this pawn with a move like rook a4, and you wanna bait the opponent into attacking it with a bishop. And after black attacks it, we got rook a2 back, protecting the pawn. And you cannot really take this, because if you take this, then you're gonna take on d5, and this is really bad news for black. Now, after bishop b7, rook e2, we got bishop e8 and bishop d2. And here black plays move g5. G5 is a really bad move, because now these squares are weak, and you can just target them with a move like knight to e2 and knight to g3. And this is just what happens. We got knight to g3, as you can see. And after bishop takes, queen takes, the position is really bad for black, because white can sacrifice the knight, which is not really a sacrifice because it is a discovered attack really. After queen takes, we have bishop takes b4, and the idea was that black was gonna play the move c3, attacking the rook, but here white has this amazing move queen e5, and the idea is that you cannot really take this, you cannot take the rook because I'm gonna take on e8 with check. You cannot do anything else. You should take the queen. After queen takes, we got bishop here attacking our rook. After the rook slides over, the game is simply over after move b3, which is deemed as a great move. And here the players play a few more moves, but it is clear that white is simply better. In fact, in this position, black decides to resign. And here, Giri and Wrench decided to resign because there is nothing you can do. And Caruana and Kirilla win the first game. Now, moving on to game number 2. So in this position, in this game, Giri and Wrench are playing with white pieces, and they need to win to move on to the Armageddon. If they draw or they lose, they lose the match. E4, E5. The idea that they had at the beginning of the game is that Giri was gonna play something that he knows very well, such as a variation of the Spanish that he likes very much, and he goes for that. Now, you might notice that white castles and leaves the e4 pawn hanging, because this is not really hanging, because after knight takes e4, we got the move d4, and the king is in the middle, so you're gonna gain the pawn back. In fact, black decides to kick the bishop even more, and after bishop c5, white strikes in the queen side with the move a4. Now, black really shouldn't take, should probably move the rook like he did in the game. And after the move c3, trying to go e4, black plays d6, reinforcing the center. And here we got the strike in the center that we were waiting for. The move d4 is on the board. After the bishop slides back, got a5, closing the position on the queen side, and h3. h3 is a really flexible move. You're really waiting to see what your opponent wants to do. It probably wants to castle, And after the move bishop to b7, we got bishop g5, which pins the knight to the queen and it immobilizes it. After move h6, of course you don't want to trade. Never trade in this position because the bishop is useful protecting the center, and it is just a better piece than the knight overall. We got bishop e3 and rook a8. You might wonder, isn't this a wasting of tempo? Because rook b8, rook a8, isn't this a wasting of tempo? Well, not really, because after black castles, there is there is not a way for white to push the initiative in this position. We got rook e1, rook e8, centralizing the rook, and here a really cool maneuver by white, trying to go to b2. You see, the problem with playing rook e8 is that the f7 pawn is weak, and now white tries to exploit that by playing queen b1, queen a2, and we see just that. Now the f7 pawn is hanging, and after queen e7, we got takes and knight takes. The idea is very simple. If white takes the knight, you're gonna take on f7, and that's just what happens. Now, a move like king f8 just looks for depressing. You're probably gonna take on a7, and after rook takes, you're not even gonna take the rook. You're gonna centralize and attack over the d file. So black decides to go to h7 instead, and after knight f3 attacking the queen, we got queen e7 back. Now the only move that wins here for white is move e5, but here Anish and French don't play it and take the rook instead. Now Anish said that after they took the rook, he immediately thought that e5 was winning because this is just crashing. The knight is gonna have to move to g8, and here you can take, and black is just out of moves and out of space. But we got bishop e3, and here there is a desperado with bishop g6. A desperado in chess is when you are going to lose a piece, so you're going to lose it for something. With bishop g6, you're baiting the king even more towards the center, but this is actually not great. It was better to keep the bishop on f7 because look at all these light square weaknesses around the king. If you want to attack the king, you gotta keep the light squared bishop. In fact, we got bishop g6 check. After king takes, we got rook takes c3, king h7, moving the king out of danger, and a doubling up on the e file. After knight d7, got queen b1. Queen b1 it has a really clear threat, which is e5. In fact, black goes king to g8 back. I got knight in the middle, just shuffling a little bit, and we got knight in the middle and knight e5. Now, the idea for white here is very simple. You want to go knight f5, putting the knight on a nice square, attacking the queen. The queen's gonna have to move, and now you kick the knight out with the move f4. The knight's gonna go away, and now you're gonna move the rook. With the idea after knight h5 to play the only move that keeps a slight advantage for white, rook to g6. Rook to g6 you cannot take because otherwise fork. So white's gonna have to move the queen, and after black moves the queen, you play e5. White is actually playing great. I remind you that white needs to win to go to an Armageddon, but after e5, knight takes e5, here white has the chance to play rook takes g5 and try to win. But I don't know why they decided not to go for that. And on the other hand, they decided to push the pawn to try to promote it. But the queen just lights back. And now if you take on g7, you don't win the queen anymore because the queen has moved. And you can push, yes, but the pawn is stopped. There is nothing else you can do. And here, the move that loses the advantage, rook to g4. The only move that kept the advantage apparently was rook d1 with the idea of going here. And after queen e2, rook d8, bishop c6, there was this amazing idea of going rook to g3. And after, for example, let's say queen e1, you were just gonna put pressure in this position because black is immobilized. But white decides not to go for that. Instead, we got rook d8, and we got this move rook g4, which hangs the g2 pawn. The idea, of course, was to take the knight, but here we got queen takes, and you cannot really take this knight because it's protected. White's not gonna take the bishop. White's gonna mate black, but black here has a really nice move, which is bishop f3. Now, bishop f3 looks like you hang the h6 pawn, but after king g8, the king is actually safe here. And the king who's gonna suffer is the white king. But we got the move bishop e4 which blunders the draw after queen e4, and after rook g8 we got queen g2 sacrificing the queen, and here black had to go for a perpetual check, which would have been good anyway because black needs to draw to win the match. Now we got bishop e4, rook h6, but here white can actually take because the bishop is attacking the queen, and the players are here in low time, and after queen h3 is just made. So here the team Caruana Kirilla win the match 2-0, and Giri and Ranch are eliminated. So I hope you liked the video, and I hope you're gonna follow this new format. I really like it. It's enjoyable, and it's really cool to see the thought process of such players, which are amazing. Having said that, see you in the next video.